And now in Marketplace Community. He's been featured on the New York Times, The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, Bloomberg News, Huffington Post, and now Marketplace. Author Daniel Hutchinson is a veteran who is helping those returning home from combat by sharing his story. And Cameron has more.
You know, transitioning from combat to home can be difficult for some veterans and really challenging at times. But here to give some advice and talk about his brand new book, Lessons Learned, What Every Veteran Should Know About Coming Home from Combat, is Daniel Hutchinson. How's it going, Daniel?
Good, how about yourself?
Good. So first I want to say thank you for your service and congratulations on the book.
Thanks.
What is it about? Tell us about the book.
Well, it's been a work in progress for a long time now, and basically it contains the tips and techniques that I have used to transition home from combat. I served as a combat medic in Iraq during the troop surge of 2007, and I had a really rough time transitioning back home. I couldn't go out in crowds, I stayed in my house all the time, I drank a lot, I had nightmares nearly every single night, and I thought that there was something wrong with me. I thought I was weak, because what I didn't know back then was that nearly 1 out of every 5 veterans has PTSD.
Wow.
I didn't know that I wasn't alone.
So Daniel, what exactly is PTSD?
PTSD is a psychological condition that many experience after they have some sort of traumatic event. It's a normal reaction to being put in an abnormal situation. It's a physical injury, and most people don't know that. It's not something that's made up, it's not being weak, it changes your brain. You can actually see it with medical equipment.
So explain what that transition is like for returning veterans.
Well, it's rough, and there really isn't much guidance at all, and that's a shame because since the beginning of time, there's been war, and we have continually tried to take an 18-year-old kid and make him an efficient killer, to change him, both physically and mentally. If we were to put just as much effort into decompressing them and in taking care of them when they get home, I feel that we wouldn't be losing more than 22 veterans every single day to suicide.
And what do you think is the biggest problem for those veterans returning?
I think veterans experience culture shock when they first get out. They go from such a structured environment to a place where they have no guidance at all. So a lot of them are just trying to figure it out on their own. They're looking for that one magical moment that'll make everything fall into place. But it's not going to be one single action that makes that happen. It's going to be a lot of little steps.
And what are some of those steps that veterans can take to get on the right track?
They need to have their resumes looked over because chances are they didn't do a great job at communicating their skills to a potential employer. They need to find a hobby that they're passionate about. It can be anything from working on cars to cooking. They need to figure out a way to accept their past so that they can move on. Okay, so one example is that when I was in Iraq, I was a medic. And there was this one casualty that I just couldn't save. I tried my best, but I just couldn't. And this is gonna sound crazy to most people, but he would haunt me. I'd have nightmares about him at least 3 times a week. But there's a technique that I used in my book to forgive myself, and ever since I did that, I haven't had any more nightmares, none.
That's very powerful.
It really is. There are so many veterans who haven't made it back. Their bodies are back, but their minds are still in the streets of Baghdad, the mountains of Afghanistan, the beaches of Normandy, or the jungles of Vietnam.
Daniel, what advice do you have for those veterans that are returning without PTSD?
Yeah, so that's the other half of the equation, is 1 out of every 5 veterans will return with PTSD. So that means that 4 out of 5 will return without PTSD. But every veteran is gonna have to make the transition to becoming a civilian. So that's why I wrote this book, so it can help everybody that has served in a combat zone. For instance, some veterans don't know about little things like state benefits that are available to them. I know I was back for nearly 3 years before I found out about state benefits that were available to me. I had nearly $3,000 waiting on me. Now all states are different, but that's just an example of how I feel that this book can help all veterans.
That's great information.
Yeah, there's so much information in there.
This is awesome. You're doing great things, man.
Thanks, but I'm just, a small piece of the large puzzle. It's gonna take everybody to come together to make sure that the men and women who have fought for our freedom are taken care of.
Now, where can people purchase the book? Where can they find it?
Anywhere online. You can get it at Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, anywhere that you can purchase books.
Daniel, thank you so much for joining us today.